Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Friday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. Please stay on this channel because first, I'm going to update you with some Doctor Who updates. Then, if you don't want any spoilers, you're going to have to go because there's been a lot of consistent leaks about what's actually going to happen. The reveal of the Timeless Child, the reveal of what's going on with Doctor Who Flux. When I read these leaks, I mean, we don't know if they're true, but so many people are saying it. And I will let you hear some audio from someone reading out these leaks from TikTok so you can hear it from another voice as well. But first, let's give you some other updates. So first of all, Doctor Who will have a change of film location for 2023. So this is the first act from Bad Wolf Productions and Russell T Davies. The changes have already started. The series will move from its long-time home of Rothlock Studios to Wolf Studios Wales when Russell T Davies takes over. This comes as no surprise to no one. It's been confirmed by top executives that the BBC sci-fi series will no longer film at its long-time production home of Rothlock Studios, Cardiff, instead taking up residence at the nearby Wolf Studios, Wales, when incoming showrunner Russell T Davies takes over for 2023. Well, before I read the quote from the executive, it makes sense anyway. I mean, it's near where it already is, so it's not a big change in kind of geographically. But in terms of what they can do at the Wolf Studios, the Bad Wolf Studios, technically it's much better. So expect Doctor Who to be even better produced than it has been right now. We have also got, here we are. We have also got Doctor Who from 2023, which is pretty major, and back to the dream team of Russell T Davies writing, and that is going to be based in Wolf Studios, Wales. Bad Wolf director Natasha Hale told Business Live, so that's very exciting. The confirmation isn't a complete surprise, of course. When Davies returned to Doctor Who after being in charge from 2005 to 2010 was announced, many fans were quick to note that the other big news hidden in the press release, with the BBC ceding creative control of the show to an outside production company for the first time, his Dark Materials discovery of Witches and industry producers Bad Wolf Studios, Bad Wolf headed by Davies, former Who collaborators Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner. So basically we're bringing the new team back together, but in charge of a very, very progressive studio. Very exciting. Have their own base of productions, including office space and various large stages. So it makes sense that Doctor Who would make the move, and this shift in filming locations could be more notable than it first appears. Yeah, very much more notable. It's interesting. While it's not a huge geographical change, Rothlock and Wolf Studios are literally a 30-minute walk apart around the Cardiff Bay area. It does have implications for production, as the scale of Wolf Studios is bigger than Rothlock, exactly, with the complex boasting some of the biggest studio space in Wales, and sound stages that rival the scale of the iconic 007 stage in Pinewood. You see, they're creating something. This is good for Doctor Who fans. At first, looking at this is good for Doctor Who fans, but we won't know if Russell is taking us, upper class or downer class until he makes his creative announcements. It's going to be interesting. Its largest stage, stage 6, is nearly 60 feet tall and about 16 feet taller than the 007 stage, and in general Wolf Studios offers, according to its website, 125,000 square feet of stage space. For his Dark Materials, this has meant vast high sets, including mountaintop labs, Arctic mountains and huge towering trees, are able to be built in-house. Yeah, you see, it's brilliant. In other words, in theory, this move could mean that the scale of Doctor Who sets and production could get bigger under the auspices of Bad Wolf, with bigger builds and more in-depth worlds created in their large space. It's an exciting move, basically, that many will be keen to see the results of when it happens. As for what will happen to Rothlock Drama Village, the future's still bright. Doctor Who, which moved there during the Matt Smith era from its previous home at Upper Boat in Pontypridd, now closed. It's not it's not the only show that uses the space, with Casualty making its permanent home there, alongside Welsh soap opera Pobl I Zim. I can't pronounce Welsh, I'm sorry. And with Doctor Who moving on, there might now be room for more dramas to move in. Previously, the BBC has shot other dramas at the space, including the Who spin-off Class and Russell T Davies' take on A Midsummer Night's Dream. And with more and more production moving to Wales, just recently including Tom Hardy's Havoc Disney Plus series Willow Industry and his Dark Materials alongside Doctor Who itself, it seems likely Rothlock won't have any trouble getting more people interested in shooting there. Still, it's slightly poignant end to an era for a studio that has been, for many fans and the people who make the show, the physical home of Doctor Who for quite a few years, and the entirety of the Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker eras. Now we need to add the new spot to our maps to try and spy on filming. That's a good idea. Shame I'm in Cyprus, right? Right. This is, as he says, this is actually very, very interesting, because this is more evidence that they're taking Doctor Who Bad Wolf Productions, Russell, Jane and Julie, and they own it. This is theirs now. They've taken control of this. And this is unheard of, to say, here's Doctor Who, from the BBC saying, here's Doctor Who. But this is how badly, this corporation and Chris Chibnall, and to a lesser extent Stephen Moffat, in his final few seasons, destroyed the show. And Russell's taking it back. Now, nobody really has a fucking clue. Someone said to me the other day, no way does he bring David Tennant back. Well, let's discuss this for a minute, because the first course of action Russell will be doing is the 60th anniversary. So, if David Tennant doesn't come back for that, I will sit on my balcony in my boxer shorts and you can see me pour icy cold water all over me in a very cold Cyprus morning. It is November now. It gets a bit warmer like now, but in the morning it's cold. Dare me to do it. I believe David Tennant will be announced as the main Doctor in that adventure. It's easy, isn't it? Now, how does this work? Well, I don't know, because I don't know how Jodie's era finishes. It's interesting, and I keep on going on about this. Piers Wenger saying it's going to be very different. Does he mean the wrestling of control from Bad Wolf Productions and Russell T Davies of Doctor Who from the BBC? Or does he mean what it's going to be creatively? I definitely think... Now, this is interesting. How does this work? Because don't forget, she could regenerate into David Tennant. Or they could reboot. By the end of the trilogy next year, they could reboot the universe. The actual universe in the Doctor Who world. Anything's possible here. Something's happening. David Tennant could still perceivably be the next Doctor. Now, am I saying this with 100 million% certainty? No. And people will comment down below and say, this is not happening, Mick. This simply isn't going to happen. Anything is possible at this moment. Doctor Who bosses tease Marvel Studios style episode. The executive producers speak about Sunday's ambitious episode Once Upon Time. This is the one I said will be a departure episode, and from what he's saying here, this is very interesting. Doctor Who continues on Sunday, and judging by recent comments from the show's bosses, the upcoming episode is said to take a leaf out of Marvel's book when it comes to storytelling. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe they're mentioning Marvel as an kind of an example because everyone seems to love Marvel. Maybe not the best ideas. Anyway, speaking to Doctor Who magazine, executive producer Matt Stevens teased Chapter 3, Once Upon Time, revealing that the episode is an ambitious one for long-running sci-fi drama. For the long-running sci-fi drama. In terms of form and structure, especially in Chapter 3, it really does take the show in a new direction. Are you afraid yet? He said it's very ambitious and it credits the audience with sophistication and intelligence. They don't believe this. They fucking hate us. They think we're as thick as shit, even though we're not. Anyway, which is something we always do. Really? Anyway, of course, but with this, it's very much asking you to trust the show and go on a ride. Not everything is given to you in the moment, and as with a lot of television now, it credits the audience with a degree of patience. that that they're not going to know quite what's going on. But there will be plenty of theories, won't there? He added that the third episode explores a form of storytelling that the show hasn't done before, comparing it to Marvel films. For me, it was reminiscent of some of the shows that I love, of the way that Marvel Studios are telling stories, the way they'll parcel out the information, and things can seem incredibly random and abstract, but they're not in the end. They're a part of a very cohesive whole, but you don't get served straight away. Showrunner and executive producer Chris Chibnall added that the next episode of Flux, the first Doctor Who series to tell one overarching story over the course of 6 episodes, will connect to everything that's gone before it. You couldn't tell this particular story with this particular structure in any other season of Doctor Who, he said. We're using the shape of a serial to give us a very different type of storytelling. Episode 3 will follow the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, as she navigates the aftermath of the apocalypse on a planet that shouldn't exist, with Azor Salim making his Doctor Who directing debut. A strand that runs through my episodes is the Doctor's journey of self-discovery, delving into places she's never been before and coming up against things she never experienced, Salim said, which I think is really interesting. So this is interesting and intriguing. We've been talking for weeks now about the Timeless Child story. If they would evoke it again and continue it in Doctor Who Flux, this is confirmation that this is a Timeless Children heavy episode. So as I say, very interesting. But I just want us to go over this again because I want to re-examine what Chibnall said because I think it's interesting. Showrunner and executive producer Chris Chibnall added that the next episode of Flux, the first Doctor Who series to tell one overarching story over the course of 6 episodes, will connect to everything that's gone before it. Now that's interesting. When he says everything that's gone before it, does he mean everything that's happened in Doctor Who or in his Doctor Who? Interesting. Probably his Doctor Who. You couldn't tell this particular story with this particular structure in any other seasons of Doctor Who, he said. We're using the shape of a serial to give us a very different type of storytelling. Episode 3 will follow the Doctor as she navigates the aftermath of the apocalypse on a planet that shouldn't exist. A strand, it's just amazing. A strand that runs through my episodes is the Doctor's journey of self-discovery, delving into places she's never been before and coming up against things she's never experienced, Salim said, which I think is really interesting. So, basically what Salim is saying is they're delving into the Timeless Child arc. Now, this is what I predicted, this is what I thought, so this is, as I say, it's going to be one of those detached episodes, and elements of it won't make sense. So this is big reveals like we got in the middle of season 12 yesterday. So I expect to see some very, very famous Doctor Who guest stars in this episode, but I have got some leaks and some news about the Timeless Child and what's really going on here. So please stay to the end of the video while I reveal to you these Doctor Who leaks and what they could mean for the future of Doctor Who. I've got a couple of articles from Radio Times because they are the real source of Doctor Who to update you on Doctor Who news, which I'm sure you're all interested in. Then we'll get there, I promise. I need to leave it to the end about the leaks because I really want to get into it. Anyway, Doctor Who boss says last scene Jodie Whittaker ever shot was regeneration. Wow, so there is a regeneration. But who is she regenerating into? That's the million-dollar question. The star filmed her final scene as the 13th Doctor back in October. Chris Chibnall has revealed that the last scene Jodie Whittaker shot in the Doctor Who Centenary Special was the 13th Doctor's regeneration scene, marking her official exit from the show. Production on the upcoming special, which will be Whittaker's last appearance as the Doctor and also marks 100 years of the BBC, wrapped on the 13th of October. Showrunner Chibnall shared in his production notes column, published in Doctor Who magazine, that the last scene Whittaker filmed as the iconic Time Lord was the character's regeneration from her Doctor to the new 14th Doctor. Wow, but she wasn't there according to her with the 14th Doctor. The day has been scheduled considerately and brilliantly. Jodie's final scenes of our final episode are being shot on her final day, Chibnall wrote. The last shot of the day is the last shot of the 13th Doctor. When it's done, the studio floor breaks into emotion, field applause, and it is packed. Gifts are given. Jodie and Mandip show a film they secretly shot as a thank you to the crew, and they love. It's hilarious. Now, just because Mandip Gill was there doesn't mean Mandip Gill was actually there. Just remember that. Now, could Mandip Gill and John, who plays Dan, still be involved in Russell's era? Unlikely, but who knows? The day's work is topped up with a final crew photo of the 13th Doctor's era on the set of the TARDIS. The photo is done. The day is done. The 13th Doctor leaves the building. Let the wrap party begin. Whittaker announced in July that she would be leaving Doctor Who after the centenary special, alongside outgoing showrunner Chibnall, although the Broadchurch star recently told Radio Times magazine that she considered going back on her exit plan whilst filming the new episodes. It's interesting because Jodie wouldn't have had a say in coming back, and, you know, ask Russell T Davies, would he have continued with her, as he calls her, a brilliant Doctor? I doubt it, but it is showbiz, and we are allowed to make it up as we go along. That is the essence of the beast. Sometimes it was like, are we sticking to this decision? There's part of me that could absolutely say no, let's keep going, let's go back on it. But to give the fans the level that they deserve, there has to be some sacrifice. You have to know when you're done, when you've done it, she said, and she's right there. So, yeah, another great article from the Radio Times. So we now know, official from Chris Chibnall, she has shot a regeneration scene. Now, this is going to be very, very interesting because I am, as you are, very excited to see who Russell has chosen to be the next Doctor. I haven't got a fucking idea. Yeah, I was talking about David Tennant because I'm reaching. I don't know. How ambitious will this new casting be? Will they stick to basics? You don't know. Maybe I have a clue. Maybe some people have said stuff, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Right, now we get to these leaks. Now, I found a video on TikTok that reads these off. It's an American guy. Take a good listen and we'll talk about this. Personally, if this is true, I am not happy, not angry unhappy, just disappointed because it really leaves a mess for Russell T Davies to clean up. So take a listen to this.
Swarm, right? His official title is the Icon. The Doctor is his offspring, but she chose a different path and birthed regeneration energy into our universe instead of swarm energy flux.
So, that guy who did that video wasn't very impressed, and neither am I. Do you understand what's going on here, everyone? Swarm is supposed to be the Doctor's daughter. No, let me say that again. Swarm is the Doctor's father. Now, she was birthed with regeneration energy, and he chooses to use the flux energy, which is utterly destructive. But there's more. Because, and what do I think of that, by the way? Doctor, I am your father. No, no, no. It's so without imagination, but again, nobody asked for a Doctor Who origin story, Chris, if this is true. And that, my friends, is what The Timeless Child is. It's a Doctor Who origin story. In parts, it's interesting. Like The Division. Well, maybe we'll find out about The Division in this third episode, Once Upon a Time. That's interesting, at least. But there's more. Because apparently it's revealed when Joe Martin's Doctor, Ruth, turns up and joins our Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, on a mission back to Gallifrey. It's revealed from these two Doctors that Tek Tae-Yoon, who originally was a woman before she regenerated all those times, was a great mother. And now it's time to deal with Dad. So basically, the Doctor's father, Swarm, is a bad dad, a bad father. Now, this is actually very consistent from Chris Chibnall because he's referenced bad fathers in his era of Doctor Who quite a lot. So he's consistent. His hatred of men continues. But take Tae-yoon, a woman who found the Doctor, stole her DNA genetic code to create the Time Lords, is a good mother. Now obviously Chibnall is going to find a way to fill in the blanks and make her look good, and he's already showing us the Swarm is as evil as sin. So it looks like this is where we're going with this, and I don't know how you all feel about it. Please comment down below and let me know. This is not only so dour and unoriginal and with a spot of man bashing, which he loves by the way. I don't know why the extreme left males hate us alphas, right? But there you go, and I'm sure I am the target of his rage, and he'll be happy that I'm unhappy with this. I can take the man bashing, but we never asked for a Doctor Who origin story, Chris. The other day we were talking about Russell T Davies potentially rebooting the series. Well, this leaves it in an utter mess. The Swarm is the Doctor's father, and she has to fight her father. Do you know how this would have worked a lot better for me? I'm a fan in what they did in Smallville with Lex and Clark, and what they actually did in the Star Wars prequels with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Built up a friendship, then they have to fight, then they're enemies. There's an emotion in that. The Doctor should have met Swarm from the very beginning, but he should have come to her as a friend or a good father, maybe. And they develop a friendship and a relationship. Then she discovers about how she's the timeless child and what happens and that he's a bad person. Then they go to war. Then we get Doctor Who Flux. You see what you do there, Chris? You build up something. That's what storytelling is. It's a build-up before an explosion. But throwing this character Swarm in and revealing him as the Doctor's father doesn't work. Now, obviously, we're not going to be surprised anymore. I didn't think about this. I thought of other things like he's Tech Tae-yoon and different things like that, or a different version of the Doctor from another universe, which would have been fun as well. But they've basically made him Darth Daddy. They're just ripping off The Empire Strikes Back, and it doesn't work. It works in Empire because Darth's been built in the first movie. We know that. As far as we know, before that, he killed Luke's father, which is not true. Obi-Wan lied. But there's an emotion to it. But this has no emotion to it whatsoever because there's no build-up. We meet the Swarm. We don't really get to know him. Again, there's no character development. There's no nuance with the character. Yes, he's evil. He's interesting. He looks great. But that's not what character development and storytelling is. So now they're going to deal with the really bad dad. And now the Doctor has her origin story. What do we do with that? Well, nothing. Because after this is done, everyone's just going to forget about it and not care about it. It's going to be like the Doctor being half human in the Doctor Who movie, right? Something we don't like and we forget. That's what the Timeless Children's going to be. It's just a weird thing that will never be sorted out. No one will address it. Is the Doctor half human? Isn't he? Nobody, well, people do give a fuck, but we don't talk about it anymore. We reference it for a joke with our Doctor Who friends. And this is the same thing here. But there's more. Because there are leaks also about the Weeping Angels. Because apparently their origins are going to be revealed. Now, are those women, what we saw on that planet, the Azuri, is that what they were called? I think the Azuri, or someone I think has actually said this in the leaks, that the Azuri are the Weeping Angels. But the Weeping Angels could actually have a connection to the Doctor's origin planet. And, you know, apparently there's even going to be a name for the Doctor's planet. And I think that house we saw at the beginning of this episode, or the last, can't remember now, is all connected. So are you happy, everyone? Now let's remember, let's take this with a pinch of salt. But many multiple sources have come out with this leak. So I do believe it, yes. I believe that the Swarm is the Doctor's father and everything that they've described will happen. As I say, Normally, in any normal story, you would say, this is kind of interesting. We discovered the Doctor's real world. Everything we thought we knew about the Doctor was a lie. Interesting, right? That's why I was intrigued at the beginning of the Timeless Child storyline. Interesting, I think. But if all you've got for us is that these two people have different energies, the daughter has the regeneration energy, a positive energy, and the father, the deadbeat father, because Chibnall's obsessed with deadbeat dads, has the destructive flux energy. Maybe Chris had issues with his father. I don't know. But ultimately, whether you hate this idea or like this idea, and I think I'm kind of in the middle of it as an idea, but it's a bit cheap and it's a bit easy. The thing that really gets me the most is this, and I've said it already. The Doctor never needed an origin story, Chris. You should have left it alone. Because, Chris, you've got to think about something. Because everyone thought they were going to kind of forget about it. Because the BBC may have forced him to go back on it and things like that. Here's the thing, which I think is even worse. I think, as I suggested earlier, I think by the end, before she regenerates, they're going to reboot the universe in the actual Doctor Who world. I think that's the only way they're going to do. So if they do that, he's done his whole storyline, but none of it matters because we're starting from scratch with a regeneration. What does that mean for the show? I have no idea, but I think this is the way we're going with this. So the thing that upsets me and triggers me is going with the deadbeat Doctor Who dad. That's sad, Chris, that's all you can do. And the mother, Tek Tae-yoon, was this lovely mother. Both the doctors say this because Joe Martin's Ruth Doctor and Jodie's Doctor will team up and go back to Gallifrey. That sounds exciting, by the way. So there's elements of this that still excites me, and I'm not going to switch off my TV because of it, even if it's true. I'll have to see it to judge it for real. But yeah, my uppermost fault is that we just didn't need an origin story for the Doctor. Russell T Davies, my friend, you have a lot of work to do. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Please hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll be back again tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye.